All right, welcome to hour number 2 here on Sports Grid. Michael Irvin will join us a little bit later on in the program. And anytime I want to talk Major League Baseball, man, we go back a long way, without a doubt. We talk back in the day, we talked Major League Baseball, and he was the general manager of the Marlins back in the day. And without a doubt, man, those great teams that were back then, I mean, such a great minor league baseball organization back in the day. I mean, they had one of the best with Larry Beinfest and all those guys. Make no mistake about it. You're talking about an organization that had one of the best minor league systems in all of Major League Baseball. Their farm system was one of the best. And when you go back and you think of those teams, I mean, go back, you had Miguel Cabrera that was on those teams. You had Giancarlo Stanton that was on those teams. You had so many great young players. You had Dave Dombrowski, who was also part of that organization. And again, David Sampson was part of that. And make no mistake, I mean, you talk about an opportunity for them to be able to build that organization, and he really did. And I hope we get a chance to talk with him right now. David, it is so great to talk with you. Some of the great memories was really watching you build that organization with all those minor league baseball guys that you had, like Miguel Cabrera back in the day. Again, just a great run you guys had.
Is I listened to my baseball people. And there were times when I'd be frustrated or would need an explanation as to why we were doing what we were doing. But I really tried to listen to them as much as possible, especially on the draft, because what do I know about a high school pitcher or a high school hitter who's going to grow into a power hitting guy? So it's really important in the industry to know what you know and know what you don't.
You know, I'm being told, David, that there's no money in Major League Baseball right now. And I just saw the Padres go for $3.9 billion. God rest his soul, Peter Seidler and his group bought that team with Ron Fowler for $600 million. I'm watching the Rays and what they're doing, where they went for $2.2 billion. And that's the trop. And now you're going to get a chance to see that organization double the value of that team. Why are we heading towards a work stoppage, in your opinion, when there's that kind of money that's being spread? Why are we going towards a work stoppage?
I think it's important to separate. And now I think you can see me, but I apologize again
Yes,
for this
yes.
ridiculousness. But listen, don't confuse franchise valuations with industry health. Those really are two different things. When you see the Padres get $3.9 billion, there are only 30 teams. All you need is one guy willing to overpay to get into an exclusive club. But it doesn't mean the Padres make money. They don't. It doesn't mean that every other team for sale is all of a sudden going to be worth that. So just be careful when you're drawing conclusions based on the 3.9. Secondly, the issues in front of us in labor, in front of the industry, are not related to franchise valuation. When the union says that, they're trying to really get public opinion on their side. Look at how healthy everything is. Teams are going for $4 billion. But owners, what they're saying is, hey, the Dodgers have a payroll of 515 million, including tax. The Marlins have a payroll of $70 million. There are 15 cities that don't have hope before a season starts that they can get it done. And there's a huge correlation between payroll and winning. That's really the discussion and the issue that faces baseball right now.
David, do you think there should be a salary cap in baseball?
No one's actually directly asked me that question. Funny enough, Dan. So the answer is no. It doesn't need to be a salary cap. There needs to be a collar. And you may say that's a cap, but I laugh at salary caps in other sports. If it's not hard, the soft cap and the first apron and the second apron. there has to be a penalty for going over a certain number that actually matters to teams. And there has to be a way to increase revenue sharing enough so on the bottom side, you don't have 5 or 10 teams that simply don't have the revenue or the payroll to compete. So a salary cap in the sense of the word, I'm not insane about that word, even though you're going to hear that over the next year. What I am focused on is what mechanisms are in place that can make it more fair so there's an equality of opportunity amongst all fan bases.
David, do you agree that when you have a team like the Yankees that has the Yes Network, or the Mets that has the SNY Network, or Comcast with the Phillies, is broadcasting also creating that revenue? And that's the differential between, say, the Marlins and the Yankees? Because look at the money that they generate with their television deals. Is this all about TV? Because look at the NFL. Every owner, whether you're 17-0 or you're 0-17, you're making $600 million a year in the television rights. Is this where the holdup is when it comes to the difference between the Yankees and, say, the Marlins?
If it were 2015, I totally agree with you. Totally. Except here's the difference. Right now, Nesson, Yes, SNY, Marquee, I'll go on and on. They're not generating the money that they were when this whole RSN bubble was still growing. So I would tell you that the reason the NFL gets it done is because they have national games and they split the national games completely. In baseball, what they're trying to get to is more national games. And that's what you're seeing Rob Manfred try after 2028, because it's not just the networks, the RSNs that have gone bankrupt. It's also at the top end. They're just not generating the money they used to, not even close. So that is an issue. And it used to be the issue, but it is not anymore.
The ABS system, are you a fan of what you're seeing with the ABS system, the new balls and strikes that Major League Baseball is using?
Not a popular answer to this, Dan, but I'd be a fan of ABS getting rid of the challenges and having ABS, assuming there's no latency. I'd like to see it on every pitch. There's no reason to have an embarrassment of a player who, like Jazz Chisholm, as much as not a fan of him as a player or a teammate, you don't need to embarrass the guy by having him miss challenges so badly. As far as I'm concerned, there can be a little voice inside the umpire: ball, strike. And then they call it, and then there's no arguing, no challenges. And remember, time of game matters, and time of game has increased by about 5 minutes this year. And MLB will tell you it doesn't matter. That's okay. It's still crisp, and the fans love it, and they've got a sponsor. But time of game does matter. And what's 5 minutes today becomes 10 minutes tomorrow. So what I'd like to see is every pitch called by ABS. That's not robot ump, Stan. I'm not suggesting get rid of the human being. I'm suggesting balls and strikes are called by technology that exists.
Absolutely here. All right. We got to take this here with Morgan & Morgan, our great friend at Morgan & Morgan, with over $30 billion recovered. The number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason is Morgan & Morgan. There's a family in Pennsylvania that was offered $650K. They got $30 million in recovery. There's another family that was offered in Florida $350,000. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. This is the easiest decision you'll ever make in your life. Go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you. We are going to talk more with one of my favorite Major League Baseball people, David Sampson, and get his thoughts again on some of the teams like Boston, who just made a move by getting rid of my Hurricane buddy, Alex Cora. No more. I tell you what, Boston got out to a slow start. Make no mistake about it. One of the worst starts in Red Sox history. We'll talk about that. And also the Padres again. AJ Preller, one of his favorite people, I'll explain. We'll do that next, right here on Sports Grid.
They do nothing fancy, the Philadelphia Flyers. There's nothing like, oh my God, like They basically, Kevin, can like hand you their playbook before the game. Like seriously, they can say, "Yeah, this is what we're gonna do. These are our lines, and this is how we're gonna match up against you." Like, you know it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Game time decisions only on Sports Grid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire only on Sports Grid.
Get it, man. Maybe this is more of a Kalshi poly market conversation to jump in on the prediction markets, but to me, this is the spot that I would roll with the Rays, man. I think they're undervalued every year, and I think they're undervalued this year again. Look, the Yankees should be the favorite. They're the best team on paper. Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston? Donnie, are they that much better than Tampa Bay? What am I missing here?
Pro Baseball Today only on Sports Grid.
The level of involvement with the government and the universities is just absolutely hilarious. You got nothing else going that you got to be this involved here across the board? I do not get it, Donnie. I really don't. But that just goes to show you how much it means here to certain individuals in politics.
The Early Line only on Sports Grid.
Without a doubt here, one of my favorite baseball people, the former president of the Marlins, David Sampson, here with us here. And let me start it out with a couple of the guys that run some baseball teams. I grew up a Yankee fan, David, and I can't remember the last time the Yankees won a World Series. And Brian Cashman now, I mean, boy, it's been a bit right now since he's won. I mean, if the boss were alive, I wonder how that whole scenario would be playing out if George Steinbrenner was alive. How do you think he's run this baseball team, the Yankees, over the last 10 years?
Well, I think they have one for the thumb, don't they? I mean, let's not exactly say that it's been a failed job by Brian Cashman, who likely will be in Cooperstown one day. But your question is funny. The old George, Cashman would have been fired and rehired 6 times. He would have been a full Billy Martin by now. But sort of Hal Steinbrenner, my scouting report of Hal, he's really a good guy, but he wants to really make sure that he's not George. And listen, who doesn't want to separate themselves from their father? But I agree, he's gone with Boone and Cash for a long time. And you're right, they haven't won the World Series since '09, but man, they've had a chance plenty of years. They've been in the postseason plenty of years. And they got off to a tough start, but now they've won a bunch in a row. But they're defined, let's face it, not like the other teams. They're defined by putting the ring on the finger. You know, they lost in the World Series a couple of years ago to the Dodgers. They won the pennant, and you'd think that somehow they, committed a felony, for crying out loud. So you have to say that overall, Cashman's been hugely successful. But in my opinion, like what Steve Kerr said at the end of the season with the Warriors, at some point you need a new voice. At some point you need something new, because every run comes to an end. Every run of any kind comes to an end. And that's just the reality.
You think there's an expiration date then on general managers and on managers, right?
And you and me. There's an expiration. What do you think? It's just milk? No, there's expiration on everybody. It's why you need term limits in the Supreme Court, for crying out loud. It is unheard of to think, what an ego that I would have to tell you there's no expiration date on what I do or what I say. I've had so many careers. I started a business. I was on Wall Street. I was in baseball. Now I'm in media. Who knows what's next? But there's always something. So yes, is there an expiration? You bet there is.
Okay, well, when's this expiration run out on AJ Preller then? And I have been an absolute, maybe I've been one of the only people that's been a dissenting voice, and I know you have been. This guy's been there over a decade and has won nothing. I mean, name me one thing that he's done that has been he's made a couple good teams, David, but this guy's got a losing record as GM. I mean, how is he still the general manager of the Padres?
There's a lot that goes into being a general manager's relationship with owners. It is your ability to lie and manipulate, which he's obviously very good at. So the thing about the Padres is it's really hard to pretend you're something you're not. And it's the ultimate imposter syndrome that the Padres have, thinking they can be the Dodgers. And now that they've sold for 3.9 billion, I think it's going to be worse there. I think the new owner is going to come in and say, "Hey, we can be the Dodgers." No, you can't. You're not even close to their revenue. And I don't care what they say about attendance. Let's look at average ticket price. I don't care what they say about TV. It's not close to the Dodgers. So I think that it's a danger we all have. It's not just sports. When you pretend you're something you're not, that's one thing. When you actually believe in what you're pretending, then you're totally in trouble. And I view the Padres that way under AJ Preller. And eventually the new owner is going to figure that out.
Absolutely here. Dave Dombrowski, what's your takeaway on what's going on in Philadelphia? Hey, it's April 26th right now, David. They're 10 and a half games back. It's the 26th of April, and you got one of the bigger payrolls, and that team was supposed to contend on the National League pennant against the Dodgers. What's happened in Philly?
We were 10 games under in May of 2003 and then had the best team in baseball and won the World Series. It's not late. It's still early. It's the later part of early. Listening to Craig Breslau this morning talk about 135 games left to get it right. Of course, that's page 1 of the I just fired my manager playbook, and I don't want the owner to think that I stink. So that's very normal. Dave Dombrowski has an interesting situation because his owner, John Middleton, his jewelry is 0, maybe a wedding ring and an Aura ring. That's it. And so, and they ran it back. Oh, wait a minute. And they've been a good regular season team, if not great, and not really gotten it done in the postseason. And they look old. And you don't get young when you change out your manager. However, Dave Dombrowski's going to have no choice. He's going to have no place to hide if the Phillies continue to be in this position over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I would expect them to make a change. They've got Don Mattingly there right now. He would be a perfect manager for them. Alex Cora is now available. He's got a relationship with Dave Dombrowski. Though if I were Alex, I would certainly want to take a couple months off and because he's going to be very wanted this offseason. So I think there will be changes in Philly if they cannot have a successful run in October.
David, a minute here. Did the Red Sox, did they overreact by firing Alex Cora?
No, it wasn't Breslau's guy. So listen, Breslau, his view is I better do what I do because I think I'm so good at what I do, and John Henry likes me. And oh God, our roster's flawed and we stink. So what do? You fire the manager. That's page 1 on the deflection playbook. But now page 2 is there's nowhere else to turn. So if the Red Sox don't turn it around, that's on him.
Absolutely here. 30 seconds, the Mets. What do you make of the Mets here, man? I mean, where are they going?
Yeah, that's the same as the Phillies to me. If they don't turn it around, Steve Cohn can act all cool on Twitter, but he's in year 6 of a 5-year plan. And when you put a team of retreads together, but pay your GM, 8 figures, the expectation is you're going to do it right. It's early, and with Lindor hurt and Soto back, I don't think it's going to get better. I think you could easily see Carlos Mendoza let go during the course of this season, but under all scenarios, he won't be back next year if they don't make the playoffs.
Who would have thunk all these big-time payrolls? You see what the Braves are doing, too, and I mean, they're just absolutely having it looks like a renaissance turnaround. As you say, it's still early right now, but David, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you more than you know. Love talking Major League Baseball. We got to do it again, my friend.
Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You got it. That is my friend David Sampson, former president of the Marlins, winners and losers of the National Football League draft. We'll do that next, right here on Sports Grid. All right, the NFL draft had winners and losers, and anytime you hear a person on Monday say this team had a great draft. This team, they just landed on so many good-looking prospects. It's flawed. You really don't know what you're going to look at on what a player's going to bring to an organization for at least 3 years. It's player development. Now, how I look at it is winners and losers on whether or not you address needs. The name on the back of the jersey, when you go into any respected NFL draft, is did you address needs? Then you also have to put this in context. You've got to figure out how good the draft is when it comes to the talent. As I said the last couple days, I don't really believe that this draft, the 2026 draft, had a ton of spectacular game-changing players. Probably from around 9 down, if you want to go from 10 down to 60, every single guy was the same. But I did have some winners here. And believe it or not, a team that I give a lot of crap to and a team that I bang on all the time are the New York Jets. I actually think the New York Jets had one of the best days when it came to addressing needs. I think the Jets were one of my winners when it comes to winning on draft. Look at what they did with 7 rounds. Now, again, the question is going to be on player development. Is Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff the right guys? I happen to think the Dallas Cowboys also had a damn good day. I think they're one of the big winners. Getting Caleb Downs, who I think is the best defensive football player in the draft, make no mistake about it. He was ready when he was at Alabama, then when he transferred to Ohio State. I think they got themselves the best defensive player, and I think he's going to make an impact on that football team. Look at what the Cowboys did in the offseason, too. They ended up getting Christian Parker from the Philadelphia Eagles, their secondary coach. He's bringing that Vic Fangio defense over. And what's the most important thing that you have to have when you're in a Vic Fangio type defense? You've got to have great safety play because it's too high. And when you have a great player like Caleb Downs, you get an opportunity to see, and again, how this football team is going to change from where it was a couple years ago under Mike Nolan to where it's going to be under Christian Parker. You're going to see a lot of 2-eye safety, and you end up getting yourself the best defensive player in the National Football League's draft. I do think the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they had a great day. I think the Chiefs, without a doubt, had one of the best days. And they got their corner. They let Trent McDuffie go to the Rams, right? So what did they do? They got the LSU kid, and they brought him in, and they put him on a rookie deal. Here is the one thing you got to understand with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. Just like with Tom Brady back in the day, make no mistake about it, you want to utilize that window when you have a great football player. You know, you got to love what the Patriots did for that 19 years that Brady was up there. They constantly retooled the cabinet. They put players in and on that roster that were going to be beneficial to Brady on the other side of the football, defense, and also offense. And that's what Kansas City has to do with Brett Veach. Again, here's another organization that I like to kill. I think the Arizona Cardinals. I think they had themselves a hell of a day. They ended up getting Jeremiah Love. Again, whatever quarterback's going to be in there, they got Carson Beck in the 3rd round. I actually like that move in what they did. So here are the winners here. Jets, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Cardinals. Now we go to the dark side. Now we go to the losers here. I don't know what the Rams are thinking. You get Ty Simpson at 13. So there has to be a disconnect between the head coach and the front office. You know, Kevin Demoff and Les Snead, who I think are one of the best, tandems when it comes to running a front office. I don't know if they're building the team for the next coach because they're certainly not building it for the current coach. When you got a 41-year-old Matthew Stafford and you're looking to go all in, you draft a quarterback at the 13th pick, how does that help the football team this year? It doesn't. How about the Steelers? Listen, I think the Steelers drafting the Navy guy, I think absolutely a great moment in the draft. But at the end of the day, they did not address in any way, shape, or form any need on the football team. The Steelers have just not been really good since Kevin Colbert left that organization. Hey, Brandon Beane, I think is the worst general manager in all of pro football. In the draft that they just had, continue to try to build around Josh Allen. You have to put talent around Josh Allen. And I don't believe guys like Keon Coleman are players that are going to make that situation any better. I don't believe Buffalo had a good one, and I don't believe, and I'm really shocked here because I like Nick Caserio, the general manager of the Houston Texans. I think he is a great builder. He was up in New England when they were building those great franchises, and it was a really down draft for him. I think he's done a spectacular job over the last couple of years at building that team up. When you can get a CJ Stroud or a Will Anderson Jr. in the same draft and trading up, a couple of years ago, it was a gem of a draft. Without a mistake here, this was not a very good year for the Texans and Houston Texans. We are going to talk to one of my favorite people. He is my brother from another mother. Michael Irvin, next here on Sports Grid. Hey, man, I got to tell you here, this is a man that I've known for over 40 years. And I love this man. He's one of my best friends. And we go back since we were 19 years of age. Here he is, the legendary playmaker, Michael Irvin. He joins us now here on the program. Mike, how you doing, man? And I'm glad to see you. You look in great health. And boy, I got to tell you, when I saw the draft and I saw them Hurricanes going in the first round, it reminded me of the good old days, seeing those three guys go, no?
Yeah, it was, Dan. Indeed, Dan, I was over at the pro day, right? I was at the pro day, and to see the pro day look like it looked when we were playing, I was like, now this is right. Now we're back. Every team was there represented, and then we had, it wasn't just one defensive lineman, you had two. Wasn't one corner and a safety, you had two. You know what I mean? We had 3, 4 offensive linemen that they were testing. It was a beautiful day. And then yesterday, this weekend, the draft was incredible. Dan, I must do this. I must say this because I know I shouted about it on my YouTube channel. I'm leaving here right after this and run to LA to shoot my Netflix show, The White House. And I must say this, Dan. These mother brothers out here, they don't ever stop trying to somehow, some way assault us. And what I watched ESPN do yesterday was an assault on a young man from Miami, and it was absolutely classless and uncalled for. When Ruben Bain's name got called, This is the greatest moment, one of the greatest moments of your life. You're going to look back at this tape all the time and watch when you got drafted that year. That year you got drafted. In ESPN, these when he was walking, Dan, did you see the info
I did.
bar? It had his arm length. I said, are you shitting me? Are you shit? You mean that you're supposed to have a highlight here, not a low light, not something that everybody's been talking about that has made this man value fall down. You saw what him and his family was going through. I was like, oh my God, man, that's insane. That was just incredible. And I thought it was so classless of them to do that. How many sacks he has? You talk about led his team to a championship game against Indiana. Any positive thing supposed to go on that info bar as he walks into the next phase of his life, and it's supposed to be a happy moment. And ESPN put up some that was garbage to me. That was flat out garbage.
Absolutely. You know what? And you and I know Tolbert, his uncle, and I had talked to Ruben. He asked me about the situation, and I'm like, again, it's a moment to be celebrated being drafted, Mike. It's your
Right.
family, all the hardship that, hey, I remember when you got drafted, your mom and the 17 plus brothers and sisters that you had. It was a tremendous moment for you and
Right.
your family. And to see ESPN take a dump on that kid's moment like that, I did the same thing. And you know what? It just seems to me, Mike, anytime it's a hurricane thing or anytime it's like us, they're still doing the same crap they've done for over 35 years.
Yeah, I'm getting chipmunks, man, because I thought I got so upset about it. I was like, I wonder if I'm the only person that noticed that. Like, to put up his 38 points, 30. We don't even have the audience don't even have a reference of what that means. So hey, it's supposed to be 36, it's supposed to be 35, it's only 30. You should, oh my God, I can't believe we don't have more outrage about that in that moment, So yeah, but listen, I can't wait to see what happens to him, what he does in the NFL. Dan, these are the kind of moments that guys like you and I strive off of because everybody said we couldn't. Everybody said you and I, we'd probably be dead by now or somewhere thrown in a gutter. And our asses are right here still. You see what I'm saying? We're right here still. And talking all kind of shit.
I got to tell people this story about Michael Irvin. And I told him this story before. Michael Irvin was 19 years old. He had this gigantic clock and this stopwatch around his neck. He looked at me and he was 18 years old and he goes, Sills, 4-5. I'm in Canton. It wasn't, I was going to the NFL. I'm in Canton. And you were 19 years old, Mike. I mean, when you reflect back on that, the process and where you are today, dude, running those miles backwards and all the work you did after practice, our 3-hour practices. I mean, just reflect on how that moment was for you when you got drafted.
Yeah, it did. I remember that so well. I tell people all the time. I said I should have sued Flavor. That's my boy, but he stole my gig. I was the first one wearing that clock around my neck. I kept that clock right there. That's all. I was gonna will myself somehow to that number. I would be taking a test, and the clock would move, and I look at it. Like, yeah, all right. Even in the midst of my biology, every test, all I was thinking about, I got to get a 4 and 5, and I'm running out. Because all the times I've been running in the neighborhood, like you said, running with that 40-pound vest on, 4 miles forward, 2 miles backwards, I always said to myself, I got to run. I'm going to run my family out of this ghetto. I'm going to run us out of this hellhole. And then it came down to, all I have to do is run 4.5 seconds. That's it. 4.5 seconds and a 40-yard dash, and I'm gonna run right up out of here. So I played with that, lived with that, and pushed myself towards that. But then when I go back home now, and I went walking around my old neighborhood. I still own that home, and I see the marks in the road where I used to train. It's an incredible thing. Think about it. I was 9 years old and I'm wondering, well, what kind of life will I have? Then I go back, I'm 59 years old, 50 years later, and life been great.
Yeah,
Life's been great.
I,
So now I
absolutely.
know.
Mike,
Now
what
I
do you
know.
every time you walk on Greentree, our practice field? What do you think when you walk on Greentree? Because to me, that's where champions are made, and that's where legends
Yeah.
are made.
That is the key too, Dan. And then I was man, I was when I'm over there the other day. When I'm over there the other day, because I told you I went to that pro day, right? And then it's very important for me if I'm going to be on that sideline that the kids know, okay, all right, this means something. So I had to be at the pro day. And then I have to show up at this first practice. So when I come to the kid and say, let's go blue more, I don't want them saying, get out of my face. Who the hell are you? I'll be able to say, I was there from the beginning. Let's go. I know what you can do. You see what I mean? It's important that they see you there early, not just showing up on game day. Because if you just show up on game day, they won't receive it. But if they see you're there first practice, you're there when they're doing things and it's not all the cameras are on and you're talking, then that gives you the credibility and the ability to talk to them. But then this is what I tell them, D. This is what I tell them. Listen, man, everything that happens out here determine how things will happen out there. You know what I mean? When you win at Greentree, that's what we did. You win at Greentree, you win on game day, you win in life. This is what we're doing. And then when we get close games, I say this is not just a game. This determines how you live the rest of your life. Are we going to win these? Are we going to be winners? Or we're not? Are we going to be losers? And that's what it is. That's all. That's what you got to know. You got to tell
Mike,
them that. I love it. I love it, Dan. I
Mike,
love it.
Mike, we got one more segment here. We're going to talk to our friend Michael Irvin, and he's right. By the way, Michael Irvin on the sideline. Everyone always tells me what's him on the sideline. I go, Mike's been doing that since he was 18 years old. I don't know what the hell you guys after the days of sports. More with Michael Irvin next year on Sports Grid.
I know you didn't. Talk.
I'm innocent. Got the wrong guy. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. Okay, it was me. I did it.
Bringing an owl to an interrogation? That's a power move.
Every time.
Yeah.
Hiring America's largest injury law firm for your injury? That's also a power move. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
My friends, you can always talk about some of the greatest wide receivers in the history of the league, but I'll tell you this about Michael Irvin. So let me get this right. State champion at St. Thomas Aquinas. National championship at the University of Miami. And he's won 3 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. Who's the greatest receiver? Right here, Playmaker joins us now here. Hey, Playmaker, every time they bring that up and they talk about like the best wide receivers in the game, where do you start and where do you put yourself as one of the
that's
best?
so funny you asked me, D. That's so funny. I was just with another D, I call D, Daniel Cormier, last week. I did his podcast in Miami 2 weeks ago when I went to the fight. And you know, Daniel Cormier still has this thing with John Jones. You know, he won't call him the GOAT. He says, because I won't call him the GOAT, you know, some steroid thing, John Jones got it, whatever. And I was like, Dan, listen. I said, me and you the same kind of dude now. I said, now, Jerry Rice, like you chase John Jones, I chase Jerry Rice. Now, Jerry Rice, I call him Jesus in cleats. And I put him way up there. I said, boy, that's the greatest. Way up there. But I tell him, as soon as you finish with the E and Rice, you start with the M and Michael. And if I put him way up there, where you think I'm at? Way right there behind him. You see, and I was trying to tell Daniel Cormier, you need to put John Jones. You used to stop talking bad about him. Put him way up there. He the only one beat you. So if you put him way up there, and then you tell people, as soon as you start and finish with that S in Jones, you start with that D in Daniel. And he's way up there, I'm way up there. You see what I mean? You got to give them their props. Give them their due. That's how you get your due. You know, now when you put Jerry Rice above me, I got no issue with that. But what I get a lot nowadays is they want to put everybody above. Oh, he caught 50 more passes than you, Michael. I played about 9.5 years total. Somebody else may have played 14 or 15 years. And you're telling me this dude has 50 more catches and that matters, even though he has no rings and I have 3. Like, make it make sense to me. You see what I mean? That's why a person's opinion is only as valuable as his knowledge based on the subject in which you are talking about. And so since most don't have an understanding of champion and being a champion and what it takes to be a champion, I take it with a grain of salt. When they say, well, this guy's above Michael and this guy's above Michael and this guy. You don't have a knowledge base to be talking about that because you don't know what a champion works.
How about this, Mike? Would you rather have that distinction when if they put something on your tombstone, would it be champion or Hall of Famer?
No. It's got to be champion. It's got to be a champion. Hall of Famer is an individual award. Champion is a team award. I can't go and I can't even get to the Hall of Fame by myself. So why am I praising the individual award? I gotta praise and make the most important thing the team award. That's what makes football so great in everything else, great in all other sports. Every other sport we play in this country, you can have individual success. Boxing is a boxer by himself. Baseball, the man that stands at home plate. Basketball, you take a rebound off one and go shoot it on the other. That's all that success by yourself. Golf, boop, I'm dropping off the 18th all by myself. You can't do anything in football all by yourself. So why do you try to take individuality over team when within the confines of playing the game, there is no such thing as individual success. Team success is the most important, and I don't care about your skill. It's not just about skill. What about that collective will? Can you bring people together so we can go win championships? If you can't do that, get out of my face.
Hey, talk to me about this new this Netflix series that you got coming up, The White House. I mean, hey, Mike, I tell you this. Hey, man, I can't wait to see it because those Cowboy teams were polarizing. You tell me, man. Give me a little bit of an insight. Give me a preview of what we're going to see on that.
But in the White House, man, Dan, you know, and it's Netflix's first original podcast. You know, they're getting into the podcast business, and it's the first original podcast. The title is they do a podcast worth watching. But, you know, and it's such an opportunity. It's such a great opportunity because you get to be more of you on these platforms. You know, we get to show more. We get to share more. We get to be more. And nobody's over your head saying, oh, you can't say this. Oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, don't go there. That's what makes it great. True edification. True edification comes from sharing, not me talking to you, me having a chance to speak with you. Let me hear your thoughts, you hear mine. You know, so that makes a difference. And this platform gives us that, the chance to truly get edified by helping and hearing from one another. So I love it. Calling it the White House, Dan, is how you run right back into it. Where everybody tries to use this for something bad and something negative, I said, no, since all of you guys know the name, let's keep it that and make sure you tune in. You're going to try to use it to bury me, but we're going to stand on that pile of dirt you meant to cover my grave and yell from the top. You see what I mean? Dan, that's what we've always been taught, Dan. We don't run from nothing, we run to it.
Don't ever Don't ever underestimate this man. He is one of the smartest people you will ever know. And you talk about one of the greatest marketers in the history of sports. It is Playmaker. Between Playmaker and Dion back in the day. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you this. If Neil was back when Michael Irvin played, he'd be driving Rolls Royces.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He was still driving Rolls Royces.
Still driving, Dan. Hey, and you know what, Dan? Yeah, I know you gotta go. I gotta go. That's the one thing too, real fast, that I thought was interesting. I didn't see you were talking about my draft, how hard I was crying because it was my mom, and I know I'm gonna get a chance to take care of her. You didn't see as much of that because of the NIL deal now. See, they're taking care of the mom now, fresh out of high school. So,
Mike, I gotta go. Mike, I love you, man. You're my brother from another mother. I appreciate you so much. Final
always,
thoughts,
anytime.
Right here on Sports Grid. What a weekend for the National Football League in the 91st NFL draft. And I mean, there were so many great moments this past weekend on the 3-day event. However, I do think there was a loser event and there was a loser moment. That has to be with the Patriots. I mean, so let me get this right. So we were told the Saturday version for the Patriots draft that Mike Vrabel was going to be in rehab for what? Screwing on your wife? What type of rehab is this? When you hear someone say, yes, Mike Vrabel will not be part of the day 3 draft for the New England Patriots, but we're in constant contact with him, making sure he's up to date with exactly the picks that we're picking on the 3rd day. What kind of rehab is that? So wait a minute, so I'm dealing with my counselor. Excuse me, I have to take this call from the Patriots and Elliot Wolf, their executive director of player personnel. Excuse me, counselor. Yeah, I really like the edge rusher there from Michigan. Why don't you take him? Oh, yeah, what were you saying? Oh, yeah, that was a horrible thing. You're not all in. How in the world are you trying to convince people that you're in rehab when you're not all in on rehab? It was such an absolute train wreck of a week for the New England Patriots. You use the 91st NFL draft for cover for this dude here. Thank God the draft happened because of this Rizzini and Vrabel nightmare that the Patriots are now dealing with. You're telling me you used the draft to cover, then you try to tell me this guy's in rehab? What kind of rehab was he in? I mean, what an absolute Patriot weekend it was to sit there and lie to people. Dude, that organization, for whatever reason, has never been transparent on anything they do. I'm going to make a comparison. Back in the day, the Al Davis Raiders, they used to turn the sprinklers on when fast teams would come into the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. They would want to slow those teams down. The headsets, you know why the headsets are automatically turned off on one side of the sidelines to the other? Because Al used to turn the sideline off on one of the opposing teams and keep his headsets on, and they didn't have communication. That was an Al Davis deal. Same thing that's going on here with the Patriots, whether Belichick's in the building or not. You got the same crap going on, and I believe that all starts with the man upstairs in Bob Kraft. Dude's won all these Super Bowls, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. What a low Hall of Fame you must be in when you have an organization like that uses the draft to try to tell me he's going through rehab. Mike Vrabel's in rehab? For what? Screwing on your wife. And then telling me you're half in. Yeah, I don't get it. Clearly doesn't make sense. Hey, on a good note, the National Football League saw what conferences in college football dominate the landscape. How about the Big Ten here? They had 68 players drafted, and the Southeastern Conference had 87. There's 257 players drafted. 155 players were drafted between 2 conferences. 7 number ones went to the SEC. 10 number ones went to the Big Ten. Take a look at all of those players. 17 of the top 32 players that were drafted in the first round on Thursday went to 2 conferences. Well, if you're a college prospect right now, if you're not in the Big Ten or the Southeastern Conference, your chances of getting to the National Football League are not very high. How about some of the programs that won? How about Ohio State with 11 players that ended up getting drafted? How that team didn't win the national championship with Ryan Day, I'll never know. How about Bama with 10? That's still the remnants a little bit of Nick Saban. A&M had 10, Miami had 9, and also Clemson had 9. Dabo Sweeney did not have a good run this past year, but he had a lot of guys going to the NFL draft. And here's another significant number. Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders had nobody drafted. They had nobody drafted. The stuff that Kurt Cignetti has done at Indiana, 8 Indiana players from Bloomington were drafted in the NFL draft over the 3 days. How in God's name has that happened where he's transformed Indiana? I'm still waiting to see this great transformation that in Boulder, it's supposed to happen with the Colorado Buffaloes with Deion Sanders. Sanders makes $11 million a year. Where's this fabulous turnaround? All I see social media stuff, rappers and celebrities on the sidelines. I surely don't see any winning. And now you're doing the most important disservice to your football program. It's not a place that you have a runway to go to the National Football League. If you want to go to the NFL, it's Indiana and not Colorado? Make that make sense. Colorado not making it happen. Great weekend. We appreciate you. We will catch you next weekend. We'll also catch you on the flip side.